New episode of We Gotta Believe is live. We have the opening weekend is in the books, and we are presented as always by the good folks at Coors Light, the beer that is made to chill, the beer that will have you settle down and chill out. If you have Robinson Cano coming up in a big spot against a lefty, if you have bullpens, which I forgot were a thing until obviously opening day, and you have to go through the life of Mets bullpen and just the overall ups and downs of the season as we will experience. However, folks, I have to say so far in this young season, Mets fans are pretty okay right now. I feel like we're doing all right. So maybe it's because we baptized ourselves in the Church of Cohentology during our opening day gala. If you haven't watched that video, check it out on the YouTube right now. And because we are drinking our Coors Light, the beer that is made to chill. When I need to take a second for myself, I reach for the beer that's made to chill. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Drizzly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/believe. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Kev, I mean, the kids these days, they just get beer delivered to their doors. They don't have to leave. They can just watch the Mets game and the beer just comes to them.
It is a beautiful thing. Living in the fucking future, man. Don't take it for granted, kids. The fact that you can just think it, push a couple buttons, and within 30 minutes, all your beer is there. Hopefully with those icy blue mountains, cold to chill. It is it's life is much easier. Life, despite this one inning that kind of spoiled Sunday and ruined the sweep, life this weekend was chill. I don't know if it was the Coors Light that was steady through my veins, but I'm trying to think. And at first I thought I was being my usual dramatic over the top self, but I can't remember a series last year that was we're good. Every game was wire to wire with a lead. The late innings were 1, 2, 3, never a threat. I mean, even when we won and even when we had 100 days in first place, even if we swept, it was always a comeback win, a walk-off win by the skin of our teeth. Edwin Diaz saved it. I have never been so relaxed than I was this weekend. I was chatting with my mom. We're having a conversation, one eye on the game, one eye over here, just because it was ground ball, second out. Okay, end of the inning. Let's go. I mean, everything was gravy. And every time we had runners in scoring position, we were knocking them in, so there was no frustration. There was, minimal frustration. minimal anger, minimal Mets, really. It was like I wasn't watching the Mets. I mean, what's funny to me is there's about 3 times in my whole life that I can pinpoint, not my whole life, but in the last 20 years, that I can pinpoint games like this. And I know there's more, but off the top of my head, it was in 2006, I think it was, when they went on that West Coast swing and they just beat the fuck out of the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. Because I remember going out west, we were the Mets, they struggle out there, and we destroyed them 15-2 every game, and it was cake. I remember in 15 when we clinched the division, I think we were beating the fuck out of the Reds that week when we clinched, and I remember being oh, these guys are getting steamrolled. And now this weekend, and I know that the Nationals are terrible, but baseball's stupid. And it doesn't, sometimes it really doesn't matter. You should beat those bad teams, but it doesn't always necessarily mean that it's a cakewalk to beat those teams. And this weekend was a breath of fresh air as far as the stress. Now, we'll get into that one inning in a minute, but I feel otherwise this weekend was a overwhelming positive for the 96ers.
You know what Saturday felt like? It felt like Pete hit a walk-off grand slam in the 5th inning. Once you get that grand slam, you're game's over. That's it. Yep. That's what you do versus bad teams. You go up 4-3 runs on them early, and that's it. That's the game. You just because they'll just lie down, they'll roll over, and that's what Saturday felt like. That's what the whole weekend outside of yesterday felt like.
Even I know Soto hit a bomb, and it's not like he had a bad weekend, but for the most part, usually I'm terrified to even look at a guy like Soto or Nelson Cruz, and they obviously both got to us a couple times. But again, for the most part, it was when I saw Chase and Shreve versus Soto, I was oh, this is a fucking nightmare. And even moments like that end up just being easy. And I think that, it's part of what you do against bad teams. But I also think that for the last lifetime of ours, the Mets are cursed with that juju, and this felt like a team. I feel like if you talk to other good teams, they'd be yeah, this happens all the time. What are you talking about? It's no, not for the Mets fans, and not even when we're good.
I feel like when Cohen interviewed Buck, or even any of the managerial candidates, excuse me, he just said, instead of like, how do you want me to, manage the team, or do you want, he said, Buck's asking, how, this is the kind of baseball I envision us playing. This is the kind of professionalism I'm going to bring. And Steve Cohen just said, no, Buck, all I need you to do is take the Mets out of the Mets. And that's exactly what we got this weekend. The Mets didn't do Mets shit. And again, like you said yesterday with, keeping Williams in, and he didn't pitch hit JD for Cano in the big spot against Doolittle, who was basically lighting off fireworks on the mound. He was like Kenny Powers after he got the, but like we have owned Sean Doolittle his like entire career. So he needed to get that out for like his own mental sake, I imagine. But just the fact that like, it's like, you know what, that's fine. Let Buck get the guys loose. Everyone gets in opening weekend. Everyone feels good. And that'll pay off down the road. I think the Cano thing, he'll go to him a few times. And then if he continues just to, get blown away by 93 miles per hour, that's going to be the end of Robinson Cano. But I feel like Buck's doing Buck things. Just let Buck cook, man. Let Buck in the kitchen. Let Uncle Buck in the kitchen and handle business.
I actually laughed at the Doolittle thing, too, because it's like, there's a reason why you're pitching in the 7th inning, buddy. It's because we fucking killed you the last 2 years. You're no longer the closer. But you know what the weird thing is? Like, chicks dig the long ball. Contact is the sexiest thing of all time. You have guys hitting singles.
Contact everywhere on me. It's amazing.
It feels like it's a different team when you're constantly putting the ball in play. You're like, all right, well, at least we're not striking out all the time.
Yes.
So even when you're not really in it and like you need 3-4 runs, you're like, okay, we'll just string together a couple hits here. Everybody can make contact in this lineup, and like that's the greatest thing of all time, especially when it's like you got 3 guys on base, and then Pete comes up, and it's like that's the only guy that it could be feast or famine. Everybody else has a chance to just get singles.
And look, I know it's only been 4 games. I think the hits god Jeff McNeil is back.
Yeah, buddy.
It looks like it.
I'm picturing McNeil and Mark Canha as some sort of like tag team, or like the Hardy Boys or something. Like smaller guys, who put, like not like big, like it's not like a Manny and David Ortiz 1-2. It's more of these guys who are going to slap the ball, use all fields, walk, get on base. Mark Cannabis has been on base every fucking like, he's been on base I think like 800 at an 800 clip.
Yep.
Those two together, that's what would be nice about this lineup. If you have guys like Cannabis and Nimmo and Jeff, and then you sprinkle in power like Pete and hopefully with Lindor. Throwing
Eduardo Escobar, he's got a double in every game he's played.
Yeah. He's a big boy. He like I feel like that could be a balanced lineup that really could do some damage. It's just one weekend. It's a bad one against a bad team like the Nationals. I know I tend to get my emotions swing like crazy, but I was so down with DeGrom, thinking this team was so built on that 1-2 punch. And I kind of was, I guess, underestimating the offense. We'll see when they get how long it lasts and how they react when they get against, great pitching. But, if that's just going to be a pro lineup that gets on base at that clip, that hits and runners in scoring position right now. Right? Literally, again, can't remember a time. Even at our best, we were always known to leave runners and strand runners and never get that full that breakout inning. So, man, it was just fun to watch. It was just like watching. You're right, Kyle. Like the home run is king. Chicks dig the long ball. If everyone did steroids again and was just hitting bombs, the league would probably be saved. But if you really like baseball and you want your team to be consistently good, watching hit after bloops and slaps and the occasional extra base hit.
You got that madman awesome. Travis Jankowski like just running all over the goddamn place.
Dibs on Travis. He's my guy. He is going to be a spark plug. He's going to light a fire, whatever it is. Even when getting thrown out on third on like what I would consider the worst base running I've ever seen. It was like right in front of him. He was like 15 feet away from third base. That was some
That's one of the rare boo-boos from this weekend, like the base running. I don't think Joey Cora has seen a red light in his life.
Yeah, let's go all the way back, because first we got to talk Apple TV. We got to talk about the early games. There's a lot to cover for opening weekend here, right? We didn't do a podcast.
No, so yeah, for anyone listening on the podcast, we did a opening day recap. So if you want to watch that, it's on the YouTube. But
YouTube only, so you got to go and subscribe and watch that there.
Check it out there. Obviously, another happy opening.
By the
day
way, let me just quickly explain how the podcast works. We would like to do episodes like all the time, always, but it's a logistical, statistical thing when it comes to the podcast. The more episodes we do, technically that lowers our download average. We can't sell it at the same rate. So what we are allowed to do is run wild on our YouTube. So when there's emergency games or we want to recap opening day, we're going to put those on the YouTube. So we'd love to do it everywhere, but it's just a business thing that we can't. So you can check out the opening day recap on the We Gotta Believe YouTube. But the next game, Max's return,
Thursday,
was Apple TV streaming day. I mean, this was a nightmare. You talk about when the playoffs come around and you got to watch the TBS game and you're like, oh, I miss SNY, or the weekly Sunday night baseball fiascos you got to live through. Those look like, Emmy award winning broadcasts compared to the Apple TV gang. And I did hear that the West Coast game that same night was actually good. I think Katie Nolan and some other people, I think Hunter Pence.
No, I heard that broadcast was good. I only listened to a better bit. I thought that was an enjoyable thing. Also because it wasn't one of my teams playing, I was able to enjoy it more.
True. And so maybe it's not just Apple TV, it's just this combo. But I don't even really remember the names of the people, the trio on our broadcast, but I tried because I wasn't like going in. I figured it was not going to be great. And Mets fans, we miss Gary, Keith, and Ron. And it really is like we have the highest of bars. And sometimes we're ridiculous about it. But this time it was pretty warranted. And I mean, the whole
Shout out
thing.
to that one girl, though. She was
What?
career defining, broadcast, and she tells her mom all excited about it, and her mom's a Mets fan, and she's like, ooh, I really don't like when it's not Gary Ron. It's like going up against.
Well, so let me explain. So I tried, I went in with an open mind, relatively open, and it was so bad. It was like one giant Apple TV commercial. The play-by-play was, while you're watching TV, you don't need expert play-by-play, but it does make the broadcast better when you do play-by-play. The home run calls were terrible. The enthusiasm never matched. There were times where they were all animated and it was not a big deal. Home runs, they were kind of there's a fly ball. It was a very bad broadcast, and I crushed it. I did a 1 Minute Mets, which is like a 1 Minute Man spinoff for all Mets and baseball content. You can check that out on Instagram and YouTube. So I crushed them, and it got a lot of views and a lot of comments of people being like, yeah, we agree, this sucks, which is, hey, that's facts, right? But then I saw the tweet you're talking about, Kyle. She, the lead play-by-play girl, her grandma or mom was a diehard Mets fan, and when she told her, I'm gonna get to do this game, her first reaction was, "Oh, I hate it when it's not Gary, Keith, and Ron." And then she went on to say, it's a big moment. Please be patient. And I was like, the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes in that moment. I was like, I felt bad for crushing her, but I mean, facts are facts, right? That wasn't good.
I'll say this: the picture of the broadcast was phenomenal. They were using 8K cameras, that looked really good. But in terms of
other than that,
talking over it, we were talking they were talking about hibachi in the 5th inning of a 1-run game. It didn't make sense.
You know what's funny? What you said, it's a 1-run game. Usually Gary, Keith, and Ron know when to do their side stories and not in tense moments. But also there is just some sort of double standard where it was when they were talking about I think they were talking about squirrels. I would have got such a kick out of that with Keith and Ron, but when it's people you don't know and you don't give the benefit of the doubt, you're kind of just what the fuck is this? This is terrible. So it's a little bit of a double standard, but also the only thing I thought, I was like, oh, this is cool. They got these guys mic'd up, or at least they had Juan Soto mic'd up, and they didn't do anything with it except for one time you heard him be like, let's go.
Yeah, and they also had Lindor mic'd up, and we didn't hear much of that because
we didn't hear anything, right? I thought that was
hit in the face. That's why we didn't hear anything.
Oh. Yeah. Facts. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so that was, that's where the passionate, but scary side of the Mets fan base comes out, where everyone was furious. I think almost all you guys switched over to Howie, right?
Yeah, and it was tough to sync it between the video. And the other thing, I don't know about you guys, I didn't even have audio on mine. There was something wrong with my Apple TV broadcast. I can't rewind or pause or fast forward, which, 2022, sometimes you got to just pause the game. That's one of the nice things about streaming. And then, it crashed for a bunch of people.
It crashed in the
different
times. Thing, for everybody.
It was a goddamn disaster. And again, if it was a game in the middle of July. None of us would care. It's the second game of the season. It's Max Scherzer's first start as a Met, his return to Washington, which they didn't show live. It just, everything was kind of a goddamn joke. And Kyle mentioned it here too. How is Apple a $3 trillion company and they just put together like a crew of like 3 randos? And it's like either get like the Bezos is just shitting money and just throwing it at people for his Amazon Thursday Night Football. Give us a couple like no names or at least like entertaining people that we know. It's like, oh, that guy's good. How is this crew? And then like ESPN, Michael K and A-Rod, how are they the people that they're like, that's what everyone wants to watch? The Manicast, everyone was like, that's perfect. The Manicast is perfect.
If Apple reached out and was like, let's just not tell anybody a single thing, because they didn't drop who was the broadcasters until right before the game anyway. It was like a day or two before.
That was so weird.
Like, yeah, Mets, Yankees, it wouldn't really like jive. But imagine they just brought back like Francesa and Mad Dog Russo, like dropped it, like where every single game, because it's only Fridays, you just find whoever the most notable people are, and then you make it like a Manning cast. Like, why wouldn't they have just?
How about this? How about the Mink Man on play-by-play with Dog and Russo as your color guys? You get the technically proficient side of things, and you get those idiots going at each other. Who would, if you could, because I like to try to back up some of this shit talk with like, who would you want it to be? I was half jokingly saying if technical skills is not really necessary, you might as well throw us out there, do a little We Gotta Believe broadcast where we're at least going to be funny and joking and saying what the fans think. But is there somebody who does like good play-by-play that is not really on the market, right? Like either retired or does a different sport, or if you mixed that with the right, like not celebrity, but ex-player or notable. I feel like if they could, I know like Dennis Miller doing Monday Night Football never really like took off, but I feel like if you got a good sports fan, it would be perfect. Dan Soder. Dan Soder is like a real sports fan, at least with football. I don't know about baseball, but he can talk shop. He knows his X's and O's. He knows the history. He knows the game. Obviously, is like the funniest man in the world. He can do impressions and all that shit. If you took a guy like him, and that's funny because Katie Nolan's
doing the other one.
It could have been Dan on the East Coast and Katie on the West Coast. But if you did that with like I don't know, go get Gus Johnson to do baseball, or somebody who's like known and can do the game but isn't doing baseball. Again, with those deep pockets, there's got to be like a good combo out there, right? Who's like the number one play-by-play guy that would be like a free agent, if you will?
Vin Scully? Like a Scully with
yeah, I mean, at least for radio, I don't know how. I mean, he's also 900 by now, but there's got to be somebody who's like
Gary Thorne, like we had last year for a week.
Oh God, I can't hear it. He cursed our season. I forgot about that. It's not the Pirates, and it was Gary Thorne. And then I can't have Frank the Tank talking about Gary Thorne anymore. It just
Armisen. They should have gotten Armisen, who does shit. No, not Armisen. Who's the one that does the fake broadcast, but he's funny, and he's a Met fan.
Oh, Kev, the Hank Azaria.
Hank Azaria.
Oh yes, okay,
easy.
Would have been perfect.
Easy. Like,
dude, Hank Azaria doing perfect. Go
get Simpsons impressions on the fucking thing. That was awesome.
It would have been like Slugfest, like those announcers back in the day for the video game Slugfest. If you ever played that, like comedy plus he knows what he's talking about. Layup.
Why would cut this clip out of the fucking podcast? Apple TV, Tim Apple, whatever, Tim Cook, whatever your name is. You want to fix your broadcast that everyone was dunking on the entire night on Friday? You hit up BarstoolSports.com. We will tell you the perfect guy, and that perfect guy is Hank motherfucking what's the name of his character in the show again?
Brockmeyer.
Brockmeyer. You just throw a Brockmeyer broadcast out there. You get like a couple players just to talk shop, like whoever Keith is one of ours, so it can't be Keith, but a guy like Keith out there. That is an A+ idea, Kyle.
Hank Azaria is the answer. That is the one. So at least we gave an answer too. When people were like, "Oh yeah, well, who do you want?" That's who I want. Hank Azaria, maybe Dan Soder, and fuck all these other people who are just like they're just lesser than. You know what I mean? At least go a different direction and try to bring something else because the real actual talent are already signed or at a network or whatever.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Listen, I always usually have a Howie day during the week. It's usually like Sunday during the day games. I just drive around, listen to Howie with the windows down. So I had no problem kind of bumping my Howie day up a few days. This is the problem. Then one of our best players, our $340 million man, gets hit in the face and a bench clearing brawl erupts. That's when I'm like, I need to watch this on TV. And that's when I got mad at Apple TV. And granted, you could see it on Twitter almost immediately. Buck Showalter became everyone's manager that night. Game 2, Uncle Buck came out of the dugout, was jawing. That was, I think, our 5th guy had gotten hit in like 14 innings. It was a crazy number. Obviously, Pete the night before. Thank God Lindor ended up being already ended up playing the next day. So
almost as many home runs as the Blue Jays hit in the early series. That was so wild because none of it was intentional. Half of them were like breaking balls or in situations where you would never hit someone. But Buck it was more like, the fuck, do you guys not know how to pitch? Like, I'm not saying you're doing it on purpose. I'm just saying you guys suck. Nobody can throw the ball over the plate right now. And thank God that we are in the era, for whatever reason, where all these guys started to adapt the face guard. Because if he didn't have that, boom, that jaw is taken off like fucking Two-Face, man. I mean, that would have been right. He would be Kanye through the wire at best.
He could have killed him.
Yeah, I mean, for real, that would have been very scary if it wasn't for the face guard. And Pete too, so lucky that clipped the shoulder before kind of hitting the I think the helmet hit into him, whatever it was. Yeah. We dodged 2 very serious bullets. We've dodged.
Why would you say that, Kev? Why would you say we dodged 2 serious bullets there? It's almost as if a seismic shift has occurred, a cosmic shift even. Dude. As if someone came, jumped off a bridge, we smashed a bobblehead that was cursed, and then we all baptized ourselves into our Savior's church, and everything is going our way now. It's crazy what happens when you just acknowledge the baseball gods and say, we will do whatever you need to be done to make things right.
This is like 100 bajillion years ago, when we would people would like pray to the Lord, pray to the gods, and then there would be a good harvest, or there would be good weather. Come back from off the boat with like 1,000 fish. We bowed down. We pronounced our faith. We delivered our body, and now we're finally being rewarded due to the Church of Cohentology. I mean, seriously though, we're dodging bullets that we just wouldn't have in the past, and things happening that just. Lindor having not a hot start, but like good enough, driving in runs, hitting a home run. Like it wasn't like he was, 3 for 4 every day, but him being good is a huge turnaround from, even if he was going to have a good season in years gone by, it would have been a slow start and we would have had to earn it and get back over the hump again. Like Pete looking good. Oh my God, that home run was maybe I'm getting old and I'm just soft, but that was like, I thought it was a no doubter. Then I was like, no, yes. I hope it was the wind that brought it back in. Otherwise, Pete needs to reassess his bat flips, because I know he's used to hitting no doubters. But if he had done that flip and that guy caught it at the wall, we would be hearing about that right now. Right this moment, we'd be getting LOL Mets gifs. But yeah, man, it's just good vibes right now. Even the bullpen, like, all right, I mean, let's talk about the bad, because the good is pretty self-explanatory. Everybody hit with runners in scoring position. Everybody pitched from Ty Lore, even down to are we calling him Cookie? What's he at, Clem?
Okay. So I'm going to do a cookie meter after every single start. We're going to say where he fits on the cookie list here. As the snack god, I feel like it's my duty to give my personal opinion on it. So
the array of it.
Okay. So the 0 out of 10 out of 100, the worst, absolutely nothing. And again, this isn't sacrilege, but it's the communion wafer. It's no taste, no flavor. It's not even a cookie, basically.
It's not blessed either. It's not a shot at JC. Yes. It's pre-blessing. It's like the ones I got right here.
Exactly. 100 out of 100. It's the best cookie you've ever had in your life. Everyone has their favorite cookies, whatever it may be. Your insomnia cookies, your, Oreo double stuffed, your Girl Scout cookies. We just got a fresh batch in here. The Samoas, anything, whatever you like. That's the 100 out of 100. I'm giving Cookie, and as you notice, I said Cookie. I'm giving him a clean slate this year. This is only based on this season. Last year never happened. We are now baptized in the Church of Cohentology after one start where he gave up, what was it? 2 earned?
One. He only got 1 earned.
One earned.
So only the Nelson Cruz solo shot in the first.
That's right. They made some contact on him, There was definitely some legitimate contact. I am giving him. He is a generic Nilla cookie. So Nilla, it's like that. It's like that. It's the store brand. We're not going legitimate. Yellow box with the red letters. We're going generic because I know there's more to this cookie. He's not exact. Like there's something underlying here. I'm like, oh, that there's still a little.
I think that's a little low.
Listen,
I would go higher than that. I would maybe give him like single stuff Oreo because think of it this way. Would you sign right now for that every start for the rest of the year? You absolutely would.
Of course I would. 5 innings, 1 run.
That's better than a Nilla wafer.
The Cy Young. He wins the Cy Young.
That's way better than a Nilla wafer. If I can get like 5 innings and a run or two, that is a single stuff Oreo where it's like, this isn't going to make me, I'm not loving this, but it is I will eat it every time you put it in front of me. I think a Nilla wafer is disrespect. Wow, I do like those, by the way. They're also underrated in the same breath. I could pop those things all day long. And not even the brand name. You give them the generic. What's going on? This is like flip. This is crazy. You're being negative about this? Not negative, but you're not being
I'm
positive.
not optimistic, Clem. Like you say, I'm optimistic. Frank is pessimistic, and you're realistic. That's always what we hear with the Mets.
Did you see Frank's TikTok yesterday where he was like, "Oh, I'll take 3 out of 4." Like even Frank's like riding a high.
If Frank dare say he wouldn't take 3 out of 4, Jesus Christ, 130 games, Frank. Jesus, I think. What do you guys think?
It's the Nationals, though. It's still the Nationals. And there was a couple balls where off the bat I was like, fuck, here we go. So that's why I'm saying it.
But so I'll tell you what happened. The first inning occurs, right? And I was this close to being like, enough is enough with this guy. The first inning has become legitimately comical. And you know what I did? I remembered just like 24 hours earlier, when Yankee fans were being such dumb fucking animals, brain dead cavemen morons about Garrett Cole in the first fucking inning of the first game of 162. And I said, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to be like those fucking gabagool morons. And what do you know? He settled down and retired like 15 in a row. So I know this first inning, everyone says open up, use an opener, or they say blindfold him and don't let him know what inning it is, or whatever the fuck we want to do. But at the same time, I'll also take, if you have one bad inning per outing, it's annoying when it's the first inning and it makes you feel like you got to come from behind and all that. But if he's always going to settle down for 2 through 5 or 2 through 6, I'll take it. It's infuriating.
Just keep the home runs the solo shots. That's all.
Yeah.
Just no home runs with guys on base. Avoid the 3-run homer. That's it. That's all I'm asking.
That's the blueprint for like fucking everybody. I don't know if you guys agree with this, but I feel maybe I'm just, this is going to be my version of old man talk where it's like, what did the previous generation complain about? Like, oh, you can't hit it the other way. Like, why don't you hit against the shift? My thing, I think, is going to be, forget about complete games. They're a thing of the past. 8 innings is just as crazy. I think 7 innings used to be like, that's a good start. And I think 7 is going to become like a thing of the past. I feel like at this point, you got to get to like 5, which is nuts to me. But I really feel like starts are going to be limited like mostly to 6 in the coming years. And we're going to reach a time like where our kids, Sienna and AJ and Shay and Clem, I can't even say my own kid's name. Shay and Keegan are going to be like, they used to pitch 9 innings. Like my favorite player pitches 4 1/3. What are you talking about?
Wait till they see Doc Gooden's 1985, where they had like 320 innings on his 20-year-old arm.
Games.
I think that this is Cookie's peak. I'm totally fine with that.
That's what I'm saying. That's why he's more than a Nilla wafer.
My big point with him is always like, if he gets completely shelled in the first inning, he always blows up the bullpen. Like, I just need him to, even if it's 3 to 4 runs, I'm like, just be efficient enough where you don't screw us over for the whole rest of the week. Like, just enough to earn your paycheck. That's plenty by me. 1 run, I'd sign up for that every single time.
Speaking of which, and she said a guy who gets absolutely tattooed and blows up the bullpen. I just have to do my job as a reporter here for all things baseball, right? I don't know if it was in St. Louis or
It was in St.
Pittsburgh.
Louis. I know where you're going with this.
Steven Matz,
Yep.
3 innings, 7 earned on 9 hits. So once again, thank you, Mr. Matz, for ensuring that we would have Max Scherzer taking the spot that I guess you were going to take instead of Steven Matz, who probably completely decimated the Cardinals bullpen for like 3 days now because he couldn't get out of the fucking 4th inning. So God bless Steven Matz for being at least his agent for being an absolute dipshit.
Let's read the exact quote that I feel like is going to fuel us every single time there's a Matz start. Where is it?
I tweeted yesterday off the account.
I'm not happy this morning. I've never seen such unprofessional behavior exhibited by a player's agent. I guess words and promises don't matter. From that moment on, when Steve Cohen tweeted that about Steven Matz, he was cooked. He was done, dude.
It was
not
over,
Long Island boy. Till he comes home and makes amends, he's got to jump off a bridge or something. He's got to do his own, make his peace.
So the official cookie meter reads generic store brand Nilla cookies for me, single stuff for you, Kevin. So that's where we stand. That's snacking off.
Kyle, you're on my side, right? It's about like if that's the peak, that's perfect.
1,000%. He went longer into the game than Stroman did yesterday. Stroman threw 5 innings, same line. So it's like that was the guy that we were thinking was going to be our 2 or 3, and now you got our 5 guy that's putting that up every single day. Just that's all he has to do too. There was a couple where definitely in the first inning, I feel like I don't know if the wind was playing a factor or whatever, but there were some that seemed like they hit him hard, but they just missed it because he was throwing it over the middle. Mm-hmm. So it's like he needs to locate in the first inning.
Especially against the Nats too. It's like we'll see what happens. Against a better lineup, and you might be fucked with. Meek, what do you got on Cookie?
I'll give him a Chips Ahoy.
Whoa!
We're talking blue box.
Now I think we're going too far because Chips Ahoy is an absolute fucking American staple in my mind.
Single stuff Oreo, Kevin. Like let's that started the whole fucking game right there.
Let me just speak on this. Depart from baseball for a moment. There's the last couple years, a lot of double stuff slander, and I won't fucking stand for it. I know that these hipsters like to act like they're being cool by like, I don't need double. Single's actually better, and I'm going to go against the grain, and I'm going to be contrarian, and I'm going to be like there's too much of that delicious stuffing in the middle. No, wrong, full. The double stuff Oreo is the perfect amount. The mega stuff is way too much. And to everybody out there who claims, I know there's conspiracy theories that it's not actually double and that they've actually lessened the single so that the double, all these ideas. I watched a TikTok the other day. They scientifically broke it down. It's twice the weight in grams. It is exactly, it's double. So fuck all the conspiracy theorists who don't think it's double, and fuck anybody trying to tell me that double stuff Oreos are anything less than perfect. They are. Mwah.
I love all the different cookies getting thrown out right now too. We got Hydrox. Maybe he's a Hydrox guy. He's like
my dad claims that Hydrox are better, and that's because he like grew up in the fucking sticks of Pennsylvania where I don't think they shipped Oreos. If you're eating Hydrox, you're like either from the Great Depression or you live in the middle of nowhere. The Malamar is interesting because the Malamar, I hope that we have a Malamar, because a Malamar is just going to be a Mr. October, a guy that during this season, this part of the season, he's absolutely fire. Forget about April, May, June. Nobody's even touching him then. But in October, that's when he turns it on. I want a Malamar more than anything. I just don't know who it is yet.
If we get a complete game shutout, I'll give him like the macadamia nut cookie ranking. Those ones that come like 6 in a pack.
Are you trying to tell me that you think macadamia nut cookies are like the pinnacle of cookies meat?
Yes, I am.
I'll take you off this podcast right now. Wow.
If they're from Costco, they're fucking good by me. I love those fucking cookies.
The pinnacle, the peak of cookies, macadamia
nut? That's my favorite cookie.
Clem.
Again, like if it's your favorite cookie, I have no problem.
That's fine.
Fucking cookie.
I think you got to get a favorite cookie. You think those are good? You have no taste.
Oh my god!
Everybody has their own personal taste. But if we're doing a tier, if we're doing a draft, if we're doing the top 5, and you come with macadamia nut as like your number 1 pick, I'm swatting that into the 10th row. That's a ridiculous thing to say.
Who would have thought that like the Mets and all the craziness they unleash on our souls, the podcast would be fine. But once we start talking cookies, that's the thing that like tore us apart in the Civil War.
That's where I really get fired.
I was gonna give like the cancel. You know what is that? We're gonna talk like food takes that'll get you canceled. I was like gonna bring mine up, and I'm kind of scared to do it now because I think the Chips Ahoy is an overrated cookie. I think it goes on its brand name. It goes on its logo. It goes on everything. You're like, when you were a kid and there was 4 cookies at the supermarket, that was like the only thing out there.
There's a reason why, Clem. There's a reason why. That's like telling me that the fastball is overrated. Like, no, the fastball is the fastball for a reason. I will say it is, I kind of feel this way about Oreos, but definitely about Chips Ahoy. You must have milk to dip it in.
Yep.
Like just eating a raw dog, Chips Ahoy, it's dry and crumbly. But when you dip it, preferably what I do is I take 2 cookies, I put them together belly to belly, and I dip that, and then I just have like a double cookie in my mouth, totally soaked. It is anything less, Clem. I'm going to put hands on you next time I see you. You take that back.
Well, I mean, again, when everyone tells me how it's the best, but you need to have this for it to be the best. It's kind of like Thin Mints are the best Girl Scout cookie as long as they're frozen. No, it's first game in April, last game in October. I want you on the mound. I want my Jacob deGrom, and you're giving me some fucking Cookie Carrasco shit. So get out of here. I'll say it, Kevin. You want me to say it? I'll fucking say it right now. Soft baked are better for Chips Ahoy than the fucking blue.
No, the
original.
chewy ones are trash.
Oh, chewy ones are so much better.
Soft bake is different than chewy.
I'll even take Chewy. I'll take Chewy. I'll take soft baked. I'll take anything over the blues.
Okay, that's a crazy take. Only because the chewy Chips Ahoy are so chewy that I feel like I'm eating like gum. Like, how did you even make a cookie into this consistency? I also don't think that saying you need milk for certain cookies is that crazy. If I'm telling you like you need an extra thing, like if I was like it's only good when you have ice cream on it, well then that's too much. Milk is like a staple. That's like a pitcher and a catcher. You got to have both. It's not asking for too much. It's like the milk for Chips Ahoy is like is Thomas Nido to Jacob deGrom. It's like they need that, and when you get it, it's perfect.
That is the battery. You got
that was a good comparison. I'm not even gonna fight it. So there's your cookie talk of the day. We'll see you in fucking 5 days. I'm kind of scared of where we go to next with our next cookie talk. Which is he gonna? No, he misses the Phillies. Thank God
Thank God. Oh my God.
He'll be in Citi Field against the Diamondbacks, which is obviously.
And just side note, like if Nabisco or somebody wants to come up here and sponsor the cookie talk of the week, it's a no fucking brainer, guys. Yep. I don't care. A local spot. Insomnia, somebody come sponsor Cookie Talk on We Gotta Believe, because you're gonna get passion every 5 days for sure.
For sure, yeah, it's gonna be the biggest debate we have the entire episode, no doubt about it.
Well, all right, well we say that, but let's get into the 8th inning because I feel like there's gonna be some debate here. I feel like we're not all maybe gonna be on the same page, but I just want to say this: it's this inning and every inning thereafter. I will complain. This is my solemn promise to you. I will be annoying. It will never end. I will complain every time Pete and Dom are in the same lineup and Pete's not the DH and Dom is. It doesn't make sense. And I know that Pete's a competitor. I know he prides himself on being a two-way player. It's not even 2 ways. It's just playing both sides. I know that he wants to be a Gold Glover. And I'm sure he would even tell you that it messes up like his flow or whatever. He doesn't want to just sit on the bench all day. But I don't know, bro. I watched you hit a fucking grand slam as a DH the other day, and I watched you botch like a whole goddamn inning in the field with plays that Dom is an above average glove who not only will make the plays, but will also make, major plays. I just, how long of a leash do you give that if, let's say, Pete keeps fucking up? I hope Buck has the old school, nails mentality to be like, sorry, dude. If he's not in the lineup, fine. But when they're both in there, let's do what makes sense.
I mean,
so that's
we're only 4 games in. I'll give that to at least May, mid-May.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but it is, I'm not gonna crush it because if Pete just starts making the plays, then no big deal. Yeah. But it really doesn't make sense if it's gonna be an issue. And God, baseball is so fucking annoying. Of course, he gets 4 balls hit at him that inning.
Yeah.
And not only the underhand was crazy. It's gonna be bang bang. And that's why it was going to be a tough play because he couldn't stop and pivot. He probably should have done like a Jeter flip or even done the, as Todd Zeal said, the high lie. He was like, you got to get out your canasta or whatever those fucking things are called and do the scoop. But a stop and underhand is not going to do it. And then that double play ball was a hard play, but got to fucking make them. So, go ahead.
No, and that's why I'm gonna give, like, everyone's losing their minds about Buck using this guy or that guy. It's like we should have been out of it, even if it's a tie game and then it goes to extras or whatever. I'm not gonna give Buck too much shit. Buck is like, if we were losing our mind with Rojas, but Rojas was like learning on the job. Buck Showalter has forgotten more about baseball than all four of us know combined, right? So it's Absolutely. Like, let Buck, and I think Buck is the perfect guy who's going to have
I don't know. Meek knows a lot of weird shit.
That's true. That's fair. It's fair. His cookie takes are still TBD, apparently, even though I love the macadamia enough, but the baseball stuff, on point. But like Buck massaging the bullpen, I'm gonna have perfect faith in it, complete faith in him. Buck like having to figure out how to play his better first baseman occasionally while not pissing off the best power bat in the lineup. He's gonna have to do that. Buck massaging Cano's entire fucking existence on this team is going to come down to Buck. But if there's anyone in like basically baseball to do it, I want Buck Showalter to do it. So like you said, Pete is gonna make us lose our minds. But I think at some point, like you said, if he keeps fucking up, Buck's gonna just have to do the hard thing and just put Dom at first, which thank God we didn't trade him for a fucking hat, a trash heap, and a fucking Chris Paddock, right? Like, good thing that we didn't do that.
I think it's like, it's not something that's going to get exposed every time because he's not a bad first baseman. It's just when you look over and you see someone that is better, and also lefty. I don't know if you caught that little dig Keith had earlier in the game on the back.
Keith digs at him every damn time that he fucks up. It's like, a lefty first baseman makes that play.
Well, it's not taking digs at him. It's taking digs at an entire subset of society. The right your inferior like genetics make you lesser than me, you fucking right-handers.
I don't think it's a big deal. I thought it was weird that Buck went out of his way to say it was predetermined that he was using those pitchers, though. Like, he could have just run with it and been like, I wanted to get everybody like a burn before the season, but that was strange.
I didn't like any of his response. I was watching specifically for that in the post game to see how he handles it, because I think that was a perfect chance to be like, I have faith in all my guys. I think all of them can perform, but I fucked up. I should have gone with Trevor May. We had him up and throwing anyway. Or I should have hit for Cano and moved McNeil to second, put Marte in the outfield, and have a better defensive alignment. Like, I thought that was a chance for him to just kind of own it. But not only did he not do that, he went like, did you guys listen to it? It was very weird the way he was like, I'm not going to talk about that. Like, they were like, who was available and who wasn't. He's like, that's like a secret, basically. Like, I'm not going to give you that information. It was defensive, but also a little bit like, well, it's not that complicated, dude. Like, let's just talk about it. I thought it was a good chance to just be like, I fucked up, man. I fucked up because I should have, done everything you guys just said. It was all it's all hindsight 2020, but it was all pretty basic stuff, especially when Cano goes out there and gets blown away on 3 pitches. That's a tough look.
My only major gripe is like, why was he warming up in the first place if you weren't going to use him? That's really it. Like, if you want to say, like, he's just not available, don't even warm him up, like, give him a rest. Like, that used to be like the old like Callaway term, like dry humping. I forget Mickey Callaway, but like that's what he said, and most teams do like try to avoid doing that. Like, you don't want to like have a guy warm up and just not even use him.
But it was it was in a good like a high leverage spot, and it's not really Trevor Williams' fault, but he did just give up that single right away. It was first and third.
He did fine. He got his ground balls. He should have been at the inning. He got 6 outs in the inning. It's just
I mean, that one for sure falls more on Pete.
Yeah,
but
he got familiar.
Also, I just think that would have gone.
Clem, you nailed it. He got familiar. He got the ground balls, and the defense did absolutely nothing with it.
One of the rare times too that Lindor was out of position because that ball up the middle. If he's just standing
right there,
And the fact we didn't have Diaz hurts.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was the perfect storm. But I just think things could have been done differently, and I don't know why, especially Buck Showalter, whose record is, to quote Jamie O'Grady, like beyond reproach. Like, he is what he is. No one's going to all of a sudden think you're not a Hall of Fame manager at this point. He has the clout to just be like, I fucked that one up, And I do think part of it is he just wanted to keep Cano rolling, maybe, because I'll tell you what. We've got the comeback scumbag of the year on our team, folks. Comeback scumbag of the year, Robbie Cano. Don't you know, if he's contributing the way he has been, just like few hits here and there and big spots and not being like a total hole, comeback scumbag, just sitting there collecting $24 million for being, barely a replacement player. Here's to you, Robbie, you goddamn
the Wash King, baby.
The Wash King. I'm actually going to like it if he continues to play, as good as this was. But in that spot, to me, when you could have moved McNeil, upgraded your defense, but also like it's not like we're putting in fucking Juan Lagares. If you're going with Marte in the outfield, like he's a good player, you know. So it really just there's no reason to do it to not do it in general. But you know, like a game 4.
Yeah, it's game 4 of the season. Robbie's gonna face lefties at some point. Might as well give him a shot versus one that's not that great.
Yep.
So
it's also he convinces everybody because as soon as you watch that swing, it's so pretty. It's it's just like Griffey almost. Like I think it's like almost that pretty. Nothing compares to Griffey, but his swing is pretty fucking.
Yeah, when you think about the swings, as far as and not the quirky ones, and I always think of Greg Counsell or Sheffield or whatever. But as far as just pure baseball swings, obviously Griffey's number 1, but probably like number 2 for this generation. I'm sure Ted Williams looked perfect, but I think Cano oddly is up there like right next to Griffey.
Those two.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
He's so slow, man. I know he's always been slow. Even when he was in his prime, he was either just not trying, or even when he was slow. But man, that ball hit up the middle. I was like, oh, that's a run. And I mean, he was out by like a mile. I thought it was an easy run. Like you're not even gonna have to slide. And he like wasn't even on the TV when the ball got to the plate. It was crazy.
And the thing that pisses me off the most is that you saw him with the Yankees, just, he's hitting bombs, and he did the same like lollygag and shit, but he had like 40 home runs in a season, so you can live with it. Yeah. So that was the worst thing. Speaking of the Yankees, we'll do our Bronx is burning before we head to the Piazza interview. And listen, we've heard the feedback about the audio being shitty on this. We've done everything we can to fix it. We're all plugged into the mainframe. We're in the matrix trying to get better. I got a new microphone, so we'll improve the audio. We zoomed with Mike. He was in Italy and he said it was a windy day, so it was going to be shitty connection. So there is definitely a few spots that are going to be laggy. We'll just blame Mike and his fancy fucking Italy life that he's living right in our faces, right, Kev?
Yeah, yeah. There was a couple spots that were like the spots I was most looking forward to. But it's still a great interview, and in my mind, kind of restored Mike Piazza's image in my mind after he dunked on me when I was 18 years old. I always kind of hated him as far as like in the media because of that. And now he gave us a good conversation. And it was, even if it was bad connection at points, just a dream come true. Like a lot of this interview, you'll hear, we talk about the classics. We talk about the 9/11 and the Roger Clemens. And he even says at one point, like, I've said this a million times. I'm sure it's a tired take, but for like, I want to hear it. For my interview, I want to talk to you and hear you say it. And who knows if there was new news or a new development, but just getting the chance to talk to Mike about the classics was a cool bucket list moment for everybody on Gotta Believe, I feel like. So we'll get to that. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to do Bronx is burning when they come out of the gates. Well, I guess they end up splitting, right?
Well, let's call it what it was. The Judge deal got fucked, right? So the Judge deal doesn't go down on opening day. Garrett Cole is crying again because Billy Crystal went too long. And then obviously your boy Tommy, he like would jump ship. Like
I almost respect Tommy at this point. Like
he's Tommy the Tank. He basically there for the tank now.
Tommy's the tank engine right there. He is passionate and he knows the game, but he's more of a people trying to say that the Mets fans are like the Yankee fans in like the flip-floppingness could not be more wrong because it's coming from the polar opposite direction where we first of all we're dealing with ownership that sucks. So every single year to start, it was like, I want to win games, of course, but the message here is fuck you forever until you're gone because they were such assholes. So coming from that point of view, entirely different. Coming from the point of view of like, we know we're probably going to be bad, but we just desperately want to be good. All of that is so different from coming into a season being like, we're going to win the World Series, 28's coming, and then you jump off immediately and jump back on. They're riding the roller coaster like up and then down. We're riding the roller coaster down then up. And there's a very, very big difference there. And so people comparing the two situations can kick rocks, man. Garrett Cole stunk in the first inning, and I probably would have been up in arms and mad about it too. But the thing is, he's your guy. Like if DeGrom did that, I'd be like, oh, fuck, but I can't knock him because he's all we got. Garrett Cole's a much different situation where he's been choking in big spots consistently, but also he's your pitcher. So if you're not going to ride for him, I guess it's kind of like the Lindorics of last year. Like you're not going to get behind, the bread and butter here. That is crazy. But his fucking the Billy Crystal complaint.
Oh my God.
Is no joke. One of the most pussy things that has ever been said in a sports press conference. The festivities ran too long and was presented a bigger challenge than I thought. It went from a 108 start to a 112 start, and that changed your game? Like, bro, come on. That is so fucking pussy. And I was making fun of him on Twitter, and somebody said it best. He tweeted me saying, the move from Houston to New York, when he shaved the beard, literally and metaphorically, it's probably one of the most shocking personality reveals in all of sports. Like he probably always was this way in Pittsburgh and then Houston, but we just didn't know it because not big market. Learning that he wasn't like I used to think he was like a Madison Bumgarner or a Josh Beckett, or I throw my lip in, Matt Harvey with the blood down his nose, being like, I don't even like baseball, but I fuck you guys up. Learning that he was like this dork. Oh, what a shocking turn of events. And Yankee fans know it. And they know he's never going to like come up in that big spot anymore for whatever reason. Cause he once was so clutch and now he's not. They know it, but they don't want to admit it. And so they're so stuck. And I love watching them squirm.
He went from Garrett Cole to he's a guy named Garrett Cole. That's kind of the difference between
we should have known
Garrett Cole.
We should have known that. Yeah. Garrett is like, you're a fucking loser, dude.
Well,
the good news is his contract's almost up, right? So
I just want to talk about the Judge contract extension demand. There's like a little tidbit here. Like, did Steve Cohen just like set the market for star players in New York, and like now Aaron Judge wants to be paid more than Francisco Lindor? Like,
probably legit. That's probably it. Because I know there's some talk about highest annual value and highest paid position player and all this shit. Where it's like the old A-Rod when he wanted to make like $1 more or whatever that was.
It's double Kevin Durant.
Right.
Garnett.
Yeah. That was like stuff like that. This
is part of Steve Cohen's plan. You're like, let's give Lindor a little bit all this money, and in a few years, the Yankees don't want to pay Aaron Judge, but I want to pay him.
Yeah. I see both sides of it. Whose side are you on?
I don't even know anymore. I think that's an outrageous demand, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because on the one hand, like, he probably should take that. Because
his first big contract, he had to play in college, so like he's trying to get that one big one, and like he's looking at Tatis across in San Diego getting that huge contract, having done nothing. Essentially,
he's 30 already. He's an old man. Those guys don't get 9-year deals.
No, and that's the thing. So like on the one hand, I can see the Yankees being like, "Nah, we're not doing that." On the other hand, it's like he's even being 30 and injury prone and strikeout prone and altogether just a little overrated. He's kind of got you by the balls because like, what do you do when he goes somewhere else? It's similar to DeGrom in a way where it's like, yeah, he's old, but for year 31 and 32 and 33, he's probably still going to fucking rake. So are you really willing to let that happen when, he should be one of your like pinstripes for life kind of guys? And it's just weird to, like the old Steinbrenner ways would just be like, just get it done. We can't lose Aaron Judge, so just give him what he wants and let's fucking go. But I do see both sides of it. I love that it's just you either got fans calling him a greedy asshole, or you got them saying that the front office is cheap. Either way, it's hell in the Bronx, and I'm like,
it's great to see from afar.
Swing while the fucking house is burning down, just loving it.
And to be fair, Kev, like, they did sign Correa. They have Story there. So they have plenty of faces.
They
that
did
big
go
bats
all out this offseason.
Yeah,
You're right. They didn't have any money left to spend. So what can you do?
It's a real sign that he's not named captain. They didn't want to name him captain going into this year because they thought this was going to happen.
Makes a lot more sense now because I was just about to say
like he might not come back. We can't tie our hands here because if we name him captain this year, then we have to pay him whatever he wants.
All right, so enough of those broke boys. We're done with them. We have to always update whenever. That was a very big news story before, obviously, the weekend and now the Mets game. So just some house cleaning. I just got to get it done. Kev, is Jankowski your guy? because once he's your guy, he can no longer, you cannot, disavow him if, whatever. Got good looking hair.
What's the rule on capital G guys? Let's set some guidelines right now. We've done Kunsel rules, but I don't know if we've done like my guy rules. Can you only have one?
No, you can have. You can have multiple. You can have.
How many
multiple.
guys can you have before it becomes cheapened though? 3?
I'd say 3 is the max.
I was going to say 3 too. Okay.
Such as I went back to a tweet from last year in July where I said Tyler McGill is my guy, and he was my guy from that point on. Right. And I don't even know if he could still be my guy. He's still my guy. I am very concerned about him pitching in Philadelphia this week. I will say that. Yep. But yeah, I'd say three guys. 3 guys. Have you laid claim to anyone beforehand?
JD.
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. So, like, to be clear also for people who are not understanding the guy, like, Jacob deGrom is everybody's guy. Nobody gets Jacob deGrom. These are guys who are, like, lower level, second tier. And I'm just kind of running through the roster here to make sure I'm not missing anybody who is guy level.
I have to basically keep an open reserve spot for a guy because Khalil Lee will be my guy the minute he gets called up. So I'm just letting you guys know right now, he is spoken for. Khalil Lee is my guy.
Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Yes, JD Davis is my guy. I think he's going to have an impact at some point, although if this weekend's any indication, we just might not be seeing him at all. So he's my guy. I'll probably leave a 3rd spot, like you said. So in that case, the only other guy who might be my guy in a complete reversal.
Sounds like a Francesa bit.
You're not taking him. I know who you're going to say. You're not taking him.
I initially thought Mark Canha was going to be a hateable guy, but watching him he looks like kind of looks like Mark Few almost, the coach of Gonzaga, where he's like this like skinny guy who I feel like I could see him in the neighborhood. He's a guy who wears Nike dry fit shorts and shirt in running shoes. He's a dad, but he's a fit dad, and he runs like 25 miles a week. He's all over the neighborhood. He's kind of young, in shape.
I said he looks like a guy who goes on a lot of picnics. That's exactly the guy I'm talking about. Yes, we're on the same page about Mark Canha.
And part of me loves that because it's like when you're bad and you're that guy, it's almost like, how are you even a professional athlete? Get out of here. But when you're getting on base 12 out of 15 times or whatever, all of a sudden you become like it's almost Nemo-esque where people are like, you're a pest. We hate you. Like, why are you so good? So he's the only other guy I'm looking at the roster that could be guy territory. So yeah, I am ready to claim him. I'll take Jankowski. He's got the hair. He looks like a surfer type, the long hair, the sunshine. He's a menace on the base paths, good or bad. And he's going to be that spark plug, I think. He's just a guy who I never even was, consider. We never said a word about him all fucking off season long. Nobody has any thoughts about him. And all of a sudden he's up here wreaking havoc. So yeah, officially capital M, capital G, my guy. And now leave the 3rd one for, you can't be all guyed out. What if someone goes on a run?
Yeah.
I'll leave that third spot all free.
But as you talking about Canha and everything with the A's, we didn't even mention Seabass coming out and just looking fucking the part, right? Just the absolute part.
Yeah. He might be my 3rd if things keep up. Because that quote he had post-game, I don't care, I'm coming for you. Well, he was like, I pitched against Ohtani, I pitched to Trout, I'm used to it. I don't care what the name on the back of your jersey is, I'm coming after you. Woo! That's some balls right there. That's just some dad balls. He's another guy who looks like he should just be, taking out the garbage in the neighborhood for his wife, except he's a professional athlete going up against Juan Soto, easy peasy lemon squeezy. So
kick his ass, Seabass.
Yes, I prefer Basset Hound. I don't know why. That's where my brain went.
Called him badass Basset on the account. I didn't know if that's something that would stick.
There's a million. There's a million different ways. I just like I like the Basset Hound, and these are guys who are just like going to be hard nosed, grinder type guys to hopefully go along with the superstars. So
he's like the ace in waiting. He might be the guy where if Scherzer throat falls off at all, they just flip flop. And it's like, okay, well, this guy's the 2 now, and Scherzer's.
I don't want to think about Scherzer falling off at this moment.
No, let's not say it. Let's not say it. His start was also too. It was fine. It wasn't anything like.
He had the worst start of the weekend, but it was still a quality start, like 6 innings, 3 runs. I'll take that.
So all good things currently and into the future, but with Mike Piazza, we sat down and we did a little reminiscing, talking about the past, the good, the bad, the ugly. And all live from Italy, where he's coaching soccer and the World Baseball Classic team and all of that. A good interview, a nice bucket list thing to check off. And I hope we get a second chance. What I would love to do is one day get Mike Piazza in person.
Yep.
And I would love to get comfortable enough to talk about Sam Champion and the gay stuff, because you could tell he's a no-nonsense guy that, like, if we brought that up, he would be like, fuck you guys, I'm leaving this interview. But that would be the only thing. We talked about Clemens and we talked about 9/11 and the Wilpons a little bit and the 99 team and the good and the bad. I think if we could ever dig deep enough to be like, so the press conference to say you're straight, let's talk about that. But other than that, it's a great interview. So let's roll it here to wrap things up, right?
Yep, and that interview, and when we all meet with Mike, we're gonna all meet in person. We'll all be wearing Bird Dogs shorts. They are so goddamn comfortable; they'll just kind of melt away any kind of tension. The first time you're meeting each other, they are gym and khaki shorts with built-in silky soft inner liner that never rides up. No kind of problems about riding up, Kev. That's the one thing you don't have to worry with your Bird Dogs. They keep you nice, calm, cool, and collected. And if you go to birddogs.com and enter promo code BELIEVE, they'll throw in a free Bird Dogs whistle tip football, kind of like those little or those like the little turbo, the vortexes. That's what it is. So you go to birddogs.com, enter promo code BELIEVE for a free Bird Dogs whistle tip football. We'll throw the football off Mike, throw some stuff around. And we got to ask about there's two things. One, I don't think he heard me correctly. I said Mike Francesa. I said Mike and the Mad Dog. He thanked them, and he started talking about some author named Mike. And I was like, all right, I guess he just kind of missed me on that one. And I got to ask about the frosted tips and about there. So we'll throw our Bird Dogs.
A couple more things to talk about with Mikey P.
Yeah.
But otherwise, a great interview. So enjoy it. And listen, if Mike is joining us, he believes. If Bird Dogs is down, they believe. Then everybody else here, we have no question. You got to believe.
Gotta believe.